Two-headed right, two heads are better than one-headed right. Two heads are better than one-headed right. Two heads are better than one-headed right. Two heads are better than one.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our vlogcast about writing, where Evelyn and I talk about what we're working on, what we're struggling with, and what we're learning. We have been doing these on Mondays, but Evelyn's schedule has dictated that we should do this one on Sundays. So she hasn't had her first actual writing class yet. But Evelyn, you have completed your pre-semester writing workshop. So tell us what you learned.
Okay, so if you tuned in last week, you might recall that on my first day of the workshop, we had no teacher. They found us a teacher. My workshop ended up being taught by Dr. Tamika Cage Conley. She went through the MFA program here at the University of Iowa. It's the Iowa Writers Workshop. It's very competitive. It's the top creative writing program in the country. Only the top 2% of the people who apply get in. She had to apply twice to get in. She was very cool. She introduced us to the concept of morning pages. Basically, the idea is you sit and write. She told us 3 just pages of whatever pops into your head. This is supposed to be your first creative thought output of the day. So you're just writing about whatever comes to mind to kind of, loosen up your muscles, get the junk out of your brain.
Is that going to become a regular practice for you, do you think?
Yes. I have not been doing it since the workshop was over because I've had weird scheduling stuff for orientation. But once I start classes, my classes all start at 9:30 or later. So I will have time in the morning to do that. I found it really interesting, just, I would be writing and my mind would go somewhere and then I would realize what I was writing about and I wasn't thinking about it and I started thinking about it. So in the first day we did it was Tuesday and it rained that morning. And so I got caught in the rain and the buses had to stop because the winds were really strong. So I waited for a bus for 15 minutes when it should have been 5 minutes. And so I started writing about how my shoes were wet and then ended up on I would not withstand torture very well.
That took you someplace.
It did take me someplace. Other exercises we did, we wrote letters. She read us excerpts from different novels written in an epistolary form to give us examples, so The Color Purple. And then she had us write our own letter because she was a letter is kind of a form of confession, and so writing a letter, even if you don't plan on sending it, kind of gives you the freedom to express ideas that you wouldn't say out loud. When it came time to decide what we were going to do for our presentation, we actually decided to go back to the letter writing thing, and everybody in our class contributed at least one line to a letter addressed to her, thanking her for the experience that we had in the class.
In the line that you contributed, what did you specifically thank her for?
I actually contributed 2 lines. The first one, they used my line as the opener. So I said, When you walked into our classroom, all of us had already met. We'd learned the basics, names, majors, favorite Disney films, but we did not know each other. And then you took the energy in the room and created something unexpected, like a prism creating a rainbow. She wore very colorful, like patterned clothes, and so a lot of our imagery was like about that. Like she was just a bright like person, so I thought the rainbow thing like kind of fit.
Yeah. Well, it works without knowing that. What was like maybe your number one and number two? What was your number one takeaway in terms of what you learned from the experience about writing?
I think that I learned that, everybody has different ideas about what they wanted to write and their style and what kind of writer they are. And like everyone kind of came in with a preconceived notion about what kind of writing matters. And I think we all kind of left feeling like, we might all be writing different things, but like we can learn from each other specifically because we're all writing different things. And that all of the excerpts of things that she read to us are like, or not all of them, but most of them are things that I never would have picked up on my own. But some of them were like really inspiring and had really cool like things that I was like, oh, that would be really cool to do, but in this way, and like adapt it to like my style. And so I think just it made me more open-minded about like where my inspiration can come from. That makes sense?
Yeah, totally. That I think that's the best bit. Like just in terms of helping our, giving our listener or viewers something they can walk away with.
It was just really nice to have a supportive group of people who most of them all have the same, goal as me, which is, make a career out of writing. I was like, I want to create stories for children and young adults, like adolescent human beings. And people were like, even like Dr. Cage Conley kind of was like, oh yeah, that's a really big market right now. And I was like, that's not why. But when I started like sharing my ideas and my concepts and my own writing, it's like it kind of clicked for them.
Well, what's something about your writing that you shared that they responded that way to?
So I talked about my current work in progress, wanting to do like whimsical fantasy, and then that I ended up writing a scene for and sharing. So that one was the one that they kind of responded well to.
So you made a little progress on your current writing project.
Yes. The one that I kind of was working on, because she said to develop a new one. So I wanted to do something with like pirates and mermaids, but then also try and do it in space in some way.
I just got this really great image of what a space mermaid would be like.
Yeah, so I said that, and everyone was like, oh, I want to read that. Like immediately.
I want to read that.
I want to read that.
High concept.
And then I came up with an outline for the basic plot. Like I don't have the world building. Like I don't know how the space aspect is going to work. But I came up with a plot outline, and everyone was like, yeah.
So you told us that your friends from that class had named you most likely to become a commercial success. Mm-hmm. And Mama was like, I wonder why they said that. And I was like, she didn't know if that was a good thing or not. And I'm like, yeah, it's a good thing. And I think I can see it.
It's because
I can really see it because you have marketable ideas.
Yeah, it's my big concepts. The whole class didn't vote that for me, but we did at the end of our first day of class go around and give each other compliments. And one of the girls said that she thought, like, I seem like somebody who knew exactly what I want to write about and exactly how to, like, get there. Like, I had already kind of found my niche, like my audience, who I'm writing for, what I'm writing for them, and that she admired that about me. Like, I was, like, said with 100% certainty, yes, I am writing for children and young adults, and yes, that is important.
Yeah, I mean, just in life in general, just knowing what you want is huge. That's difficult for so many people. It's difficult for me, but I'm glad you're already there. About our novel, we have
Yes.
no news.
No news.
Still waiting to hear back from some agents. About our works in progress, you said you made some progress on yours during class.
Yes, I solidified my opening scene. So it was actually funny because she told us, okay, this time you're going to write a scene where the setting is, like, comes through almost as its own character. Like, the setting is going to reveal things about how your characters work, how your world that you've built works. And so I was like, aha, perfect. Because in my story, there is a garden that is significant. It's like the main character's main, like, sanctuary at the beginning of the novel. And she can talk to the trees that live there. And so I was like, my setting is a character. So I wrote a scene where she's conversing with the trees, and there's 4 of them, and each of them is supposed to have a distinct personality. And I don't know if it's just because I gave them each a different voice when I was reading it, like a slightly different voice, but I realized the very last line that a tree said, I didn't put a tag, so you couldn't tell, just like without the tag, which tree it was. And I went, oh, I forgot to tag that as the oak. And then when they were making comments, they were like, we could tell it was the oak. It was just something the oak would say. And I was like, cool. So
I have not been doing much with my novel over the past week, but I've been editing my short story. So my new draft is due at the end of this week. And yeah, I'm having a little, like, anxiety about it. Like, okay, they said they want to publish this, but make some changes. So I'm making the changes. And now I'm like, what if they don't like it anymore because I changed it? I know that's silly, but and then I'm supposed to have one of the main characters I'm supposed to somehow explain she's a genetic engineer, but she's working a pet shop and she's not doing her genetic engineering anymore. There is a reason, but I didn't really include that in the story. So, like, they wanted to know, why is she not working as a genetic engineer anymore? So it's a lot of backstory that I have to sort of shoehorn in somewhere, and I'm trying to find a natural spot to put it. That's been difficult. So I've been just sort of line editing a little bit, reading through the story, trying to decide how I'm going to change that. Like, there's a major conversation where it could go, but I'd probably have to rearrange things. And I'm like, just kind of afraid to jump in and make huge changes, but I may have to just bite the bullet and do that. So that's where I'm at with the short story. So next week when we talk, Evalyn, you will have started your actual writing class, 2 classes, and we'll have a lot to talk about to find out how that's going.
I'm taking Foundations of Creative Writing and Playwriting 1. So we shall see. All right, so if you like this video and you want to keep on following us on our writing journey, please remember to subscribe to our channel. Also, leave a big thumbs up on this video so we know that you appreciated it. Also, leave a comment down below and tell us what are your favorite writing prompts that you use to help you get unstuck. I learned a lot this week, but I feel like it's always helpful to have a bunch on hand. So if you want to share some of your favorites with us, we would love to hear them. We will return next week, but until next time, remember, two heads are better than one.